great program like Oregon is exciting and a great opportunity for us. So we're ready to go.
James, do you want to start us off?
Yeah, Dusty, a couple from me to start off. Now halfway through the Big Ten slate, I guess just how do you feel about where the team stands and what you guys have done so far in conference play?
Well, as a lot of teams in our league are finding out, it's very difficult to play high-level basketball for 5 consecutive months, which is college basketball. So there's peaks and valleys, and some of it is simple as making shots, missing shots. Some of it is matchups. Some of it is this team does this really well, and that's your weakness. So I like where we are as far as if you would have said we beat 8-2 with 6 games on the road, I probably would have been a little bit surprised, even though I don't really look that far and I don't project wins and losses for a season or anything like that. But for us to be able to not play anywhere near our best and find ways to win usually bodes well, because you stay hungry. You realize it's easier to get the guys to pay attention to the details. Versus maybe if you won by 15 or 16. And so, do we love where we are? No, we're not playing nearly as well as we're capable of. So until we do that, we're never going to be satisfied. But we're in the fight. We're in the mix. That's where you want to be.
You mentioned the kind of the close wins you guys have had. Does it give you confidence that you guys are able to win, not your best, or is there some dissatisfaction that you know that you guys aren't playing your full capability?
No, I think certainly it gives our guys confidence that we're going to find a way. And even though I might not have my best stuff tonight, my breaking ball may not be breaking, there's still going to be ways that I can impact this game and help us win. And so that's part of the journey of growing together as a team. But without a doubt, I think it gives you the belief that when things aren't going well, that you can still find a way.
Charles?
Yeah, you guys held Ace Bailey to one of his worst scoring performances of the year. What was the defensive game plan against him, and can you replicate that against other opponents going forward?
I don't know. It's a great question. A lot goes into it. The staff did a great job with the preparation and figuring out a game plan. And then when you do something completely foreign, there were some holes in it that we could fix if we had more time. And so will we replicate this? It's tough because Braden Smith the ball is in his hands coming over half court, so it's tough to deny him. But yeah, we need to do a better job of limiting the other team's best players' touches, pushing them off their spots, and challenging more. And so even if it's not that exact game plan, we can take some of those tendencies to the future to go forward.
Dennis?
I was going to ask you about your sideline demeanor. You haven't picked up a tee this year. How do you make your points to the officials without? Yeah, it doesn't seem like a lot of histrionics. What's your approach that way?
Well, I have 6 years of trial and error, and I don't really want to talk about the officials because you can control what you can control. There have been times I felt like I jumped on them, and we proceeded to get terrible calls after that. And so I don't think there's a right or wrong way. They're people, we're people, and so I do know this, that the Big Ten officials, it's a relationship business, and even if you don't have a great relationship, you understand each other. I don't know these officials; they don't know me. Sometimes they may think I'm being sarcastic when I'll ask a question and they'll explain it from their point of view, and I might say, that's fair. I see what you're. So even those interactions, but I just feel like when I've screamed at the officials, we've gotten bad calls, and when I've tried to talk to them like human beings, we've gotten good calls in the past with people officials, and I pay attention to which ones have called the game tight, which ones have called it loose. These guys come from the high majors, do they come from the mid majors? Because it's usually a little bit different, and we try to adjust to who's officiated and how they're calling the game.
Did you pick up any tees at FA?
I think I've won in 7 years.
Can I ask you about Pippen? Seemed like he had a pretty good game over the weekend for you, maybe his best. But case on him, how close is that competition? What does he have to do to earn more minutes?
It's just hard to play 10 guys. You start playing a rotation of 10, 11, 12 guys. You're taking Trey Donaldson off the floor. You're taking, I think Pip's been very, very steady. The competition, I don't even want to say it's competition amongst those two. It's just which one can help the group function when they're in there. And sometimes as a freshman backup guard, the role might be which one can hold it in the road versus which one can go make some plays. and they're completely different players. LJ probably is as good as, he might be better than anyone on our roster at simply going and making an individual play. But there's also different layers to that, and he's going to be a really good basketball player. It's just, like I said, it's tough to play 10 guys in a rotation. And once you start going one or the other, by game, then they don't know when they're going to play. It's even more difficult for them to stay ready if they don't know if they're going to play or not. And I think Pippen knows now he's in the rotation. He's going to come into the game about 6 minutes in, and so it allows them to kind of to plan accordingly. But like I said, LJ, he's had really big moments. He's going to help us win some games this year. Fat Brooks needs to stay ready because he's going to have some moments too, and that's a sign of character. The guys that can keep moving forward when it looks bleak, and it's very, very difficult to do. But the special ones can do it.
Coach, have you seen Danny Wolf adjust to the night in, night out play in the Big Ten competition so far in his general thoughts?
Well, Danny's played really, really well, and I don't think he had one of his better games, and he gets 16 and 14. His ability to track the ball, his instincts for rebounding is special, and we need it because we haven't been very quick to the ball, and part of that's being on the road sometimes, but he's bailed us out a lot just by having a real nose for the basketball when it comes to rebounding. The other stuff, we want him to trust his shot even more. We want him to simplify his game. The physicality, obviously, the 4-5 pick and roll is not very effective when you push Vlad up into the other defender and then he grabs a hold of him and doesn't let him roll. So the physicality of the league has negated what we did really, really well when the game slowed down. And so now we have to adjust. We're throwing it to Vlad and he's chasing a little bit more. I thought the first drive of the game was good offense. The ball squirted out, but that's one of those turnovers. Vlad seals, Danny has a layup, and the ball goes out of bounds. It's not as if we need to recreate the wheels. We got to be a little bit more ball strong with that one. And like I said, the turnovers that are leading to layups and dunks we live with. That was leading to a layup.
Tony?
Yeah, Dustin, sorry to get a little bit ahead. I know you got Oregon on Wednesday, but I don't know if we will get you prior to the weekend. You have a couple ties to Indiana, of course. I guess just your thoughts as you look ahead in the week about going back to a place where you got started.
Yeah, we get a ticket allotment as a group, and I have no more tickets. We're taking care of immediate family and immediate family only.
I guess, are you trying to compartmentalize it and treat it like another game? I mean, it's
without a doubt, it's just another game. I'm sure that when we go there to practice, you're walking into a place where you spent 50 hours a week as an undergraduate at practice rebounding for guys, whatever the case, and then I work there as a staffer. And so, yeah, it'd be very similar to if we played at University of Florida, where I had great years as an assistant, have established relationships. But I watched them play Purdue the other night. I've seen them play a handful of games. They played at a high level in Mackey Arena. And so, no, it's not hard for me to detach the emotion because we have a job to do, and I'm not thinking about Indiana other than if they played tonight and Oregon didn't, then I would watch that game at 9 p.m. But other than that, no, it's we're focused on Oregon.
One more, I guess, to start with this first. Back to Danny. I guess really maybe the team of free throw shooting, kind of middle of the pack. It seems like you have a team of good shooters, though. Did you expect them to be a little better? I know they hit some big free throws down the stretch, but just your thoughts on where they are.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're probably right a little below where I thought we would be. Roddy's a good free throw shooter. He's shooting them well. I feel like we made some timely free throw shots. Once again, we practice them, and we don't line up and shoot 50 every day at the end of practice. Even when we shoot them as a group, it'd be, in competition, you're going to get 4 1-on-1s. You're going to shoot a 1-on-1, potential 8 points, as few as 4, tally them up. And so we practice in every drill. If you win, you pick a shooter that is fatigued, and we say, all right, to stamp this win, you have to make 2. So we're pretty intentional to find 5 to 10 pressure free throws every practice. But we don't talk too much about it. It's step up to the line, trust your shot, and we live with the results.
Andrew?
How much of unlocking the potential is getting more consistency from Roddy and Ruben?
I mean, I think that allows us to take a big jump as a team. It's no secret they're not performing up to their standards for a number of reasons. And we all contribute to that. It's getting them the ball in the right positions at the right time and things like that. But we believe in them. If we're going to max out as a group, they're going to be a big reason why.
And then back to Indiana, if you don't mind. As far as being inside Assembly Hall, and I've got you there. Your year at Eastern Michigan played there.
Correct. Yes, we played very well.
But since, have you?
Yeah, every year. I don't go back home very often. Usually, when I was in Florida, I would go back. I think Christmas would be the only, typically once a year, unless I was recruiting in the state. And so I know one year, God rest his soul, Amir Rahim is a close friend. He was our GA at Murray State back in the day, and they played there the 23rd of December, I believe. The last couple of years, he had a really good team. So I would go watch a game on the 22nd or 23rd each year, just as a fan. You're back home, and what else are you gonna do for 2 or 3 days off Christmas? You can't go watch the Hoosiers or Pacers or whatever the case. So.
And then when they announce your name, they know starting lineup, then your coach, do you sense what the reaction might be? Will you care at all?
To be honest, I probably even heard my name announced in starting lineup. Like I've noticed it maybe twice in my career. So I don't know. I don't think about that stuff. I don't care.
Sure. All right. Thank you.
Alejandro?
Wanted to go back to Justin because seems like he reads the floor well. His entry passes are good. He had a couple possessions against Ace that popped in the first half. What about his play has earned him that rotation spot that you mentioned?
His consistency in practice and his approach to the game. He's almost exactly a carbon copy of himself every single day, and that's not easy to do in a sport that requires a lot of emotion, a lot of physical work, mental work. He just has a real unique ability to think at a high level, to work with emotional intelligence, and I think his steadiness has gained him more and more opportunity, and he's earned the trust of his teammates and staff. I feel very, very confident with Pip on the floor.
You mentioned early on this year that he was the most college ready when he showed up. Is this kind of a continuation of that?
100%. And he didn't practice this summer. He didn't practice, I don't remember the exact date, until the fall. I think he'd be much further ahead now if he would have had that opportunity to work, and we brought him back slowly. But he's earned it. He's worked with great consistency.
Sam Walters hits the 2 threes, but before the first one, I think he forced a steal. Before the second one, he got the rebound. Seems like he's doing those little things that you talked about earlier in the year that you challenged him on. I mean, where has he grown the most, and how big is it to have a bench piece like that getting better and better as the year goes on?
Well, we all know Sam's reputation as a shooter. He's grown so much as a person, as a defender, as a rebounder. I watched the film, and he had one glaring mistake. And they all have mistakes. This happened to be a scouting report mistake. Other than that lapse, he played really good basketball. He was active. He was aggressive. I mean, he competed against Ace Bailey. He banged in 2 real shots that we needed to kind of hold it in the road when Trey was in foul trouble, and when we weren't in a good rhythm, we'd smoke some 2-on-1 break layups and just couldn't find baskets, and those shots were big. And now when he's got it going like that, we have to do a better job of looking for him and trying to use his gravity to produce even better offense. Because when he gets it going like that, we need to be more aware that when Sammy's out there, we got to be looking for him. And if we can't get it to him, then that usually means there's a lot of attention going his way. I thought he played within himself. He caught it and shot it or got it moving, and his floor spacing allows Danny, Vlad, Trey, those guys to look even better than what they are.
How do you balance sometimes the read and react and kind of letting them play in that flow compared to, hey, we got to draw something up for somebody who's shooting it really well?
It's knowing your team. I've coached a lot of great shooters, and we try to, we draw stuff up in practice to see how they respond to shooting off of a set where you're going to do this and this and this, and then you shoot it versus finding shots. And our FAU teams, once again, had 6 years of practical experience, and we had guys who were really good shooters that if we drew up a play for them, they had about a 2% chance of making that shot. They were so excited to have a play. Timing was off. And then there were other guys who were marginal shooters, that 30% shooters, that if you drew up a play and they had their comfort spots, they were banging it in. So it's just getting to know your team. That's been a challenge this year because we haven't had a guy that was able to come off those screens consistently on the move and knock down shots. But it's also part of the way we recruit. We recruited guys who are versatile. They're not just one-trick ponies, and usually the one-trick ponies are good at those things. So it's more of, we've got to just, with the way we play and the way Sam is, he doesn't sprint into a lot of his threes yet. He's going to. We're working on it every single day, and he's getting better at it. That's the next step of his evolution of, the Duncan Robinson. Think about how well he moves off the ball now compared to how he did at Michigan. He was more of he came off certain screens, but he was a spacer guy, corner threes, and that's kind of where Sam is now, but he's getting better. So it's just got to be more of, we're going to try to flare in for him, and then if that's not there, then there's so much more space to attack the lane or whatever, things like that.
Got time for a few more. Anthony, Zach?
And you talked earlier about being in the fight. I guess when you look around at the league and look at what's ahead for you guys, what do you think are a couple keys to being the team that wins the fight?
Turnovers. And there's and then we're gonna watch them today. We're gonna replicate those situations, and I'm gonna continue to try to figure out what we run better to eliminate some of these things. It's a partnership amongst us all, but once again, I think we have a really good shooting team. I think we're top 5 in the field goal percentage in the country. We're one of the best 2-point, and we're really good at threes, and we're dropping from an offensive rebounding standpoint. We're on the decline a little bit. We need to get back up, but a lot of it is just the flow of, you eliminate half of those 17, 18 possessions and you turn it over. Now your defense is significantly better. Guys have more touches. There's more flow. And so I think all parts of the game will function better if we just eliminate that one thing. And so we're fighting it tooth and nail every single day.
Can you kind of assess Mario Burnett's contributions kind of at this exact point in the season? Had like a really good stretch, kind of beginning of the calendar year after UCLA and USC, that trip, just kind of where he is now.
Yeah, one thing that I've learned, and I haven't looked at the numbers as closely yet, that I actually just met with Namari, when he gets in foul trouble, it takes him out of the flow. And because we have those other wings, we typically don't play him quite as much with 2 fouls as we do a Trey or Vlad or Danny or whatever the case. And so he's been incredibly steady. He hasn't made the same shots he typically makes. His percentages are still good. We need him to play with more aggression. We need him to have more of a defensive presence. I thought offensively, Rutgers, I thought his first 4 or 5 minutes was really sound, and I thought this last 4 or 5 minutes, his pass to Danny, I thought was the biggest possession of the game. He had a nice back cut. Vlad, instead of settling for that 18-footer, hit Namari on the cut. And Namari, I thought our late clock poise was really sound down the stretch. And the one shot clock violation, we had Danny cutting for a layup. It got deflected, or maybe he bobbled it, and Namari ended up with it. So we need him to play like he's played all season, and we're very confident. He had a deep thigh bruise that he's coming back from and feels much better. And that's one thing, when guys aren't playing well, it could be an illness or an injury at times, but also they're just not going to play great every night. So that's the beauty of being on a team where I don't have to be my best tonight because I've got these guys, and one of them will pick up the slack, and you just keep it moving.
Coach, we got 2 more. We'll go James and then Craig.
I have a couple. Going back to Roddy, he's been kind of struggling the last 10, 11 games shooting from 3. Is it more mentally mechanical with him? And I guess just how do you get a guy out of the shooting funk when he's not, putting up 15 plus shots a game?
Yeah, Roddy, the free throw line is a good tell if a guy has good shooting mechanics, and Roddy does. And so now I think the confidence and rhythm that you need to be a really good shooter is not where it needs to be. But shoot, when he shoots it, if it's an inside out paint touch, we need him to shoot it. The teams that have guys that won't shoot open shots are the teams that struggle finding any rhythm or identity. We just need those guys taking the right threes, but he's gonna knock some down. There's no doubt in my mind. I believe it. He was in the gym this morning. He puts in the time. He makes them in practice, and so now it's just a matter of getting his confidence back. We need him. Like I said, our ceiling raises drastically when Roddy, Sam, Ruben, those guys are playing good sound basketball.
And I have a question about Indiana. I guess when you were a student manager there, did you ever dream that you would be a Division I coach on those sidelines someday, or was that not even a thought in your mind back then?
There were a group of us, ironically. Mike Schrage was one who's now on staff at Duke. He was the head coach at Elon. Joe Pasternak was at UCSB, and Mike was 1 year older than Joe. Joe was 1 year older than me. When I went to Indiana, even for the first year or two, I wanted to be a high school basketball coach. That's why I went there. I thought if I learned from Coach Knight. If I have Coach Knight on my resume, I can maybe get one of these high school jobs in my mid-20s in Indiana. That was my dream. One of the assistant coaches asked me one day what I was going to do. I told him I was going to coach. And he said, college or high school? And at that point, I didn't know that college was an option. And so I said, you know what, that sounds cool. I think I'm going to do college. So I went to my advisor and changed my major from education to history and chased it every single minute of every single day. And at some point in the next couple of years, because of Joe, and he was very ambitious and he was much further advanced than I was as far as the world. He was much more worldly than I. And so he talked about being a D1 head coach. So at that point, it's like, you know what, maybe I can do that too. But no, I mean, my career trajectory completely changed when I decided I wanted to enjoy who I was coaching and enjoy who I was going to work with every day and serving those guys and fighting like crazy. And then my career took off. When I was chasing being a Division I head coach, it wasn't working out.
Craig, you want to focus on?
Yeah, at the beginning, your first press conference, you said this team would be fast, it would play hard, it would be fun for the fans, and you were going to win some games. And I think you've done all that. I mean, I think by any measure, that's been accomplished.
We're not playing fast enough. We're not playing hard enough.
Right, from your point of view.
From my point of view, yes.
But in my head, it seems like those things have actually happened. And my question is, does the team look like what you envisioned sort of at the beginning of the year? I mean, I had really no idea what this team would look like. And I went because it's pieces from here and pieces from there. And I wonder if it's looking somehow like you envisioned, or did you have any vision at all?
It resembles what we thought it would. We've had to create some things on the fly and really kind of get a few things out of the mud, and then those things get stopped, and so then we kind of have to create some different ways. But I think we're starting to really establish an identity of a hierarchy of what we need to be looking for first, second, third, fourth. I know I'm much more clear in my expectations now than I was 2 months ago when I was still trying to observe and watch our guys and whatnot. And I think we're learning the league better too. I mean, you can say we have to watch Big Ten games, whatnot, but it's different than I thought, significantly different than I thought. And I'd done a lot of research and talked to a lot of people. And so, but once again, I mean, practical real-world experience is much better than reading a textbook or sitting in a lab or whatever the case. And so sometimes you just gotta, but we have a group that wants to learn, they want to grow, they want to get better. And so when things don't go well, we're back to the drawing board and figure it out.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Okay, Coach.
Thanks, guys.